Welcome back to another video from the Bulbasket World War II Living History group. This time we're looking at the sidearms that the SAS would have took with them on operations such as Bulbasket in France in 1944. Alright, let's start with the standard British military issue sidearm during World War II, which was the Webley Mark 6. We have two of them in the collection, a 455 World War I version and the 38 standard World War II version. Now this was issued to officers in the First World War and they'd have to buy their own, so 455 was the standard pistol cartridge of World War I for the British and Commonwealth forces. In World War II it was scaled down. They'd realised the importance of a pistol was not quite there. They didn't need a big calibre, it was only for personal defence, and they'd already been found to be not that effective anyway. Hence you start getting things like carbines. But the Webley is the most standard issue pistol. The problem with the Webley is, from our point of view, you never see it in SAS pictures. In fact, I don't think I've got a picture somewhere with a Webley revolver. They always use the Colt. Colts. There's also a Smith & Wesson version of this, but I'll get to that in a little bit and explain the differences you'll see in photos. I have photos of both in use. They're almost the same pistol. The one you'll be familiar with, everyone knows the SAS and everybody who could get them used them, is the 1911 Colt. As the name suggests, it dates from 1911, is when it was formally adopted. And these, well, they're still in use today with various militaries and certainly with police forces. The 1911 you will see taken by the SAS. It's used all throughout the war, and it is in the Bulbasket reports. It is a semi-automatic loads from a magazine rather than a revolver. So when you see most armies are still standard issuing revolvers, including what people don't seem to realise is a lot of the German army was still being issued revolvers. Automatics were a brand new thing, but the SAS did get hold of them. The problem with the 45, the 1911 Colt 45, is in the Bulbasket reports as well. It also states that a 45 is insufficient and that they need to take with them a carbine. So you hear of them, there's no actual photos of them at Bulbasket, but we know they were there because of the reports. So a 1911 is also used. But there is a report I've got that was given by the Biffin family, and in his memoir, if you like, the story of his escape and amazing story at Bulbasket is, it says at one point he realised he had his Colt 45 revolver on his leg. So that brings us to our latest acquisition to the group. This is the Colt New Service. Now this gun and design dates all the way back to the late 1800s, and it was called the New Service because Colt were after military contracts and they made it in multiple calibers, and Canada were one of the first contracts to get it towards the British. They asked for it in 455. We then, when World War I kicked off, British officers, as we've already established, are buying the 455 Webley Mark 5, but there's not enough of them and most of them are having to be private purchased. Our manufacturing hasn't caught up, so we realised that there's already officers buying these which are available on the commercial market in 455. We asked Smith & Wesson and Colt to manufacture weapons they already had. The Smith & Wesson is almost identical to this. I'll go through the slight differences in a minute. And so these were made in 455 and sold on the commercial market, and then between 1915 and 16 and just going into 17 we actually bought them. There were 60,000 roughly supplied directly to the British military that we obviously paid for, but were then adopted and issued. And this is the 455 Ely Colt New Service. We formally adopted it as Pistol Colt 455 5.5 inch barrel Mark 1 because we're British and we like to overcomplicate things. Fast forward to World War II. The Americans have had this for a long time. By the end of the war they would make over 380,000 of them, roughly, I think. And I think that's just Colt numbers, that's not including Smith & Wessons. Just to clarify, the Americans adopted this as the model of 1917, same as the Smith & Wesson in 4.5. We also get them through various aids, where Americans could donate guns, sort of like a war aid thing. And we'd also buy them, and we'd be sent them at the beginning when we were trying to get every kind of weapon we could. So the 45 caliber Colt pistol is identical to this. It's so identical actually, this one, although it states 455 Ely on the side, has actually been modified post-war or interwar to fire 45 long. So this is actually in 45. So if it was on someone's belt, it would be called a Colt 45 revolver. So that's a long-winded way of getting around our new acquisition. So John Tonkin writes in his report that a 4.5 is insufficient, so we know a 4.5 automatic, so we know that the 1911 Colt was there. And then through Biffin's report and through others carrying it as well, we know that the 4.5 New Service revolver was also there. Webleys generally are absent. I mean, you could carry them because the SAS acquired everything. Even when I visited the Breton Museum of Resistance in Saint Marcel, they have a cabinet there with some relics from the Battle of Saint Marcel, which was 4th SAS around D-Day in Brittany, and there are 2 Smith & Wessons sat in the cabinet that have been dug up that were left there from the battle. They're also supplied to Resistance. You'll see Resistance members using them. So we know that these were also there. If you watch the BBC series Rogue Heroes, you will see these pistols pop up quite a lot. You can see here Paddy Mayne with his Colt, which will be the 4.5 caliber, and again there. They're used by quite a few characters. Also interesting to point out how else we can know that revolvers were on Bulbasket is this is my Webley belt with a 37 pattern holster. And a 37 pattern holster will fit all of these. An automatic, a 38, 4.55 and the Colt will all fit in the 37 pattern holster. Interestingly, you'll see John Tonkin using a webbing set with a 37 pattern holster with the big flap, and he also has a webbing set with the tankers style holster, open top. They're very distinctive with their ammunition carriers there, which also points to it not being for an automatic. And now even 38 fits in great, even the 455 fits in. It's a bit tighter, but that does do up because this is how I've been wearing it. This does fit in, not brilliantly, but it does fit in, so we know that this could have fitted in. What doesn't fit in is any automatic pistol. I've tried this with Browning high powers, I've tried it with captured German ones. Nothing fits in except a revolver. So Tonkin has 2 sets. He knows a 4.5 is insufficient in a 45 automatic, as we have the reports of him stating that. So he'd have had to have had that in one of these. But he also had a revolver, or access to one. So we know they were there. Also on that note, about holsters. First thing is, if you ever see a holster, if you want it to be able to fit an automatic, don't buy a 1925 pattern holster. Just so you know, they look the same. The difference is on the back. 37 pattern has this extra hook, so that you can hang it from below your ammo or compass pouch. But the difference is, the problem difference is that is a shade thinner. So again, it won't fit an automatic because in 1925 we didn't have an automatic, certainly not in any adoption. So just so you're aware. That's the difference between the two. This is a leg holster. It straps to the belt, drops down the side of your leg, and is strapped to your leg. You'll see pictures of 3rd and 4th SAS using these, the French sections of the SAS, during their missions in France. I'm yet to see anyone from 1st or 2nd SAS using them specifically in France. If you have any information that they did, especially a photo, let me know. So the differences between the Smith & Wesson and the Colt is, as seen here, being held by Jimmy Story. This is a Smith & Wesson, as it's denoted by the rounded foresight instead of the shark's fin one, and there is a little guard protecting the centre plunger that goes through the cylinder to eject the cases. The only other difference really is a slightly different hammer, and on the Colt you pull the lever back to open the cylinder. Smith & Wesson, you press it forwards. Also, if anybody knows what these markings on the back of my 1917 British contract one means, SRG 560, please let me know. I assume it's a unit or an armourer's mark, but I can't find any information out about it. So hopefully that was of some interest, just going through our latest acquisitions and a bit of the collection of pistols, because we do get asked a lot what would be an accurate sidearm to carry. Even still, people don't seem to want to carry Webleys. Maybe they see them as a bit boring, reenactors do. Maybe they like the Colt, maybe just as the SAS did back in 44. But this is our collection, and I'm very happy that we've managed to complete the set and have the correct pattern of revolver that they would have carried. Thanks for watching. Please share, subscribe, like, and hopefully see you at an event in 2025.